Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Bold, Beautiful Borderline podcast. It's Sarah, and I have Talon here with me. It has been a while since he's been on a podcast episode, and today we're going to be talking about, or not really talking about, but going over some questions for couples who there's a partner that has borderline in the partnership. And I actually have some really fun episodes coming up in the next few months. Teaser, one of the episodes is going to be from a couple, and they both have borderline, which is very, very cool. I'm very excited for that one.
Like you're talking to two people in a relationship and they both have borderline?
Correct. Right? So fun.
All right.
I know. I'm excited.
Yeah, that'll be a cool perspective because only one of us has borderline.
Yes, correct. To my knowledge, you do not have borderline.
I don't think so. I think we would know by now.
Yes, correct.
So,
so we're going to go through some of these questions that people have for us. But gosh, I have to say, I have this like weird aversion to podcasting that just randomly started popping up. Like I just posted on my story, it's been 5 years and a couple hundred episodes. And all of a sudden I'm like, I don't want to podcast. I am so nervous. I have nothing left to say. I've said everything that could possibly be said and shut it down, roll it up. Let's get out of here.
Time for a new hobby.
No, I don't know what it is. I don't know if I'm feeling like uninspired, even though everything in the borderline world and everybody I meet with borderline has inspired me. I think it's just the weight of everything happening in the world, like the talking about having this really heavy thing. It's almost like my brain numbed it, like turned off thinking about it because of how much energy it takes to think about everything else.
Makes sense. And I mean, you have to kind of credit the fact that like you also have ADHD. So like you have a dopamine seeking brain, and a lot of times when the things that we love to do or the things that we do often, they kind of slowly stop giving us as much dopamine. So sometimes you have to kind of like, people call it like a dopamine cleanse, but I don't really vibe with that. I think it's more just like,
I don't vibe with that either.
No, it's just like, I'm just going to take a break from doing this thing because it's not making me feel good. And a lot of times like forcing yourself to do something that doesn't feel good, it starts to feel like an obligation. And that's the last thing that you want for this passion project. You never want your passion project to become an obligation. So like, it's part of the reason I stopped building and painting models and minis and stuff, because it started to feel like an obligation. And now I haven't done it for so long. I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to set it up and I'm so excited. And like, I've been thinking about it more. So it's like, my brain's like, all right, we're almost back. You know what I mean? So it makes sense that podcasting would feel like that to you sometimes. And also I think you're right in that like you talk a lot about a lot of heavy shit all day, every day. And sometimes I think this can feel heavy. So maybe your brain's just like, let's take a break.
Let's take a pause. Yeah. Last week I was like, you know what? I don't have it. No episode. And that's okay.
Yeah. There's tons of episodes. There's no way. Well, maybe there are people who are 100% caught up, but like, there's no way that there aren't other episodes that you can't go like revisit or whatever. Like you have so much content. I don't think missing a week is inherently bad.
Yeah, there's a lot of borderline content in our podcast and out into the world, which is great. People are talking about BPD.
Yeah, finally.
Okay, let's get into some of these questions.
Okay, first of all, though, I do want to say, like, look at my vitiligo on this camera. Look at that.
Yeah, you're losing a lot of your pigment. Talon has vitiligo, and if he wasn't tattooed, you would be able to tell, but he's 75% covered in tattoos, so you can't really tell.
75%.
I know. I know you think it's more. Okay, let's get into some of these questions.
Okay.
So the first question, and this is for you. How to
support... For me?
Yeah, I mean, I guess maybe it's for both of us, but generally thinking you're the person who doesn't have borderline here. So I think a lot of this is like interesting to get your perspective.
Oh, yeah. That's nice.
How to support your partner in feeling that they are worthy and deserving of love.
Okay, yeah, let's just no warm-up question there. You can't.
I was going to say you're bad at this because I hate myself.
I get an F. No, you can't make your okay.
You can't make them, but support them in feeling that they are worthy and deserving of love.
Right.
You can do that. You do that.
Yeah. But like, I do want to clarify in that, like, I want to say this. So one of the most important things that I had to learn, I am still learning and I am still practicing, is that nothing I do solely 100% will change the way Sarah feels about herself.
Yeah, but I don't think that
no, I know
that question is asking that.
No, but it's important. This is important because a lot of times I will put Sarah feeling like she is loved and wanted and worthy 100% on myself. Because it's hard to watch your partner hate themselves when you know how fucking great they are. So I do want to say that like at the end of the day, I know nothing I do 100% will change the way she feels about herself, but there are tons of things that I think I do to support you and to help encourage the feeling that you're like you're lovable, you're loved, you're worthy, and you're deserving of love. One of the things that I do is I tell you that. I tell you that all the fucking time.
Yeah, you do. And you like, I feel like this is one of those things where love languages is really important. Like,
yes,
one of the ways that I like feel really like loved is when like acts of service, like small acts of service, like when Talon will go get my medication for me, that's like a huge indicator for me that he cares about my well-being and is like invested in my health and is like the most loving person, because that's a really hard thing for me to do. So the other thing is like for love language style, like quality time or whatever, like Talon did not want to kayak. Like he was like not into it. And I was just like, please, I love it so much. I was like, you will like it. And he did not want to try to kayak, did not want to try. I don't know what made you decide to try the one time, but you tried it and you loved it. And it's like, it's a thing that I like to do with my partner. Yes. And so like, things like that, like the willingness to try something that I really like, makes me feel loved and cared for. And you do those things.
Yes, I do. I will say that I am really good about trying the things that you like to do. And a lot of the reason that I try them for the first time is because you want to do it. Like, if you didn't like kayaking, my ass would have never gotten out on a kayak. Like, in my brain, I'm like, I don't know if I can do that.
Which is such a bummer because you love kayaking.
I love kayaking. It's so fun. I love snowboarding. I love running. Like, all of these things.
Oh, yeah. Talon did not. He had no interest in running. And I was like, please, like, please, all I want to do is have a partner to run with. And then, like, he started running and loves it.
I love running.
To the point where sometimes it's like upsetting for me because you're a better natural runner than I am.
Yeah.
And then I got to a point where I had like an aversion and a hatred for you and the fact that you were running, because it didn't feel like it was my thing anymore, that I could do the thing anymore because you were better at it than me. Like, so sometimes I have to kind of watch that, like that weird competitive nature in me that's like, well, if
are very competitive,
if he's better at something than I am, then that means that I'm not good.
Yep.
And I'm not worthy and I'm not lovable and I'm not.
Yeah. So it kind of, it can be a double-edged sword. And that's why, again, I wanted to say, like, nothing you do, nothing I do is 100% effective in making you feel that way. Because even some of the things I do can backfire. And then all of a sudden you're like, I hate myself. I'm like, wait, what? But we're doing the thing you love to do. But I also think like how I support you in feeling that you're worthy and deserving of love is like when you start to like say that you're not, I try to, I guess, like fact check that in a way and be like, no, that's not true. Like, and I try to list tangible things that you've done that I know make you feel worthy. So I'm like, no, like, it sounds stupid, but like, you'll be like, I'm a piece of shit. I'm like, no, you did the laundry today. Because I know when you are able to do little things like that, that makes you feel really good, makes you feel like you're a good person or whatever.
Yeah.
Not that I expect you to do laundry. That's like, oh, that's such like a whatever. But like those types of things that you do for the family and for us and for,
that matter to me.
that I know matter to you. Like you doing a chore or doing chores, that does really matter to you and makes you feel a lot of like worth. So like I'll try to like list those things and stuff like that. Because it can't always come from me being like, no, I love you. Like like, because you're deserving of love and your worthiness does not start with me. It starts with you.
Yeah.
Like you're the reason that you are worthy of love. Like you as a human being are worthy and deserving of love.
Well, I mean, that's true of all people, right? Just
100%.
We are worthy of that just because we exist. But sometimes I think that like those of us with borderline kind of think we're immune to that.
Yeah.
And I know one of the things that I'm working on is like, there's this whole theory of thought, which is different than DBT, but it's just as real and valid and true. And I believe, anyways, from a cognitive behavioral perspective, there's this belief of the story that you develop and the story that you tell yourself becomes the way that you like look at the world. And so if the story that I developed was I wasn't lovable because I experienced love that was transactional or love that was conditional, and then I grow up thinking I'm not lovable, and then if I'm in a relationship, I will still feel like I'm not lovable or feel like if I don't do something the correct way, then you'll remove love from me. And that is one of the things that you do sort of fact check is you'll ask me like, well, why? Like, who says that, like based on what standard, kind of like my therapist has been teaching me to do, like based on whose standards are you not? Yeah. So you start to try to like interrupt the story for me. And that is, I have been finding that helpful.
Good. Yeah. Cause I've always, I think, done that to you. And I think for a minute there, I think you reacted in a way, I don't know how you thought, but like you reacted in a way that you were like not pleased that I was saying that stuff. Like I was interrupting the story and you were like, man, shut the fuck up. You don't know. And I'm like, no, I know, but I do know.
Right.
So, and now you're less kind of combative about it and you're more like, oh yeah. Right.
Sometimes I'm still combative.
Yeah. Which is fine because like, it makes sense. That's the story you've been telling yourself your whole life. And like, it can feel invalidating when someone's like, girl, no, that's not how it is.
Well, sometimes I'm like, who the fuck are you to tell me what I know to be true isn't true?
Right.
Right. Yeah. I think that's a really important question. I think, it's going to be based on each person. And as silly as it sounds, starting with the love languages, I mean, there's a reason that there's research and books written about love languages, right? It's like to feel worthy and deserving of love, you have to tailor it to the person or make it person centered. And so like, if it was me and I was dating someone with borderline, I would ask them, well, what is it that you think might make you feel loved? And
I have asked you, I think, those things. And I also like am pretty big on asking you like, what can I do to support you right now? Like, what can I do? And, just even asking you that question, I think kind of gets you out of your head and into the moment of like, oh, wait, no, this person's here, like trying to connect with me. But yeah, I think love languages a lot of times like are kind of sloughed off and chalked up to like, oh, it's pop psychology. But no, it's like, it's a thing. And I think it is a thing. I think it's overused.
It's not, and it's not the same as like attachment theory, but it's legit.
And I do want to say, like, it's one thing to be like, oh, my love language is this. And then actually like sitting down and being like, no, actually, when you do this, I do feel loved. It's so easy to be like, my love language is gifts. Like, yeah, everybody motherfucking loves gifts. But like when you really sit down and
well, I mean, I think a good example is like acts of service. Like, not every act of service is going to make me feel loved.
correct.
It will make me feel like you think that I am not capable of doing things for myself.
Yes.
But there are certain acts of service that will very much make me feel cared for and worthy and supported.
100%. And I think when it comes to being married, dating, being with somebody with BPD, I think those little nuances and those little like details are important. So yeah, like with you, not every act of service is going to make you feel loved. Absolutely not. I would say 85% of them are going to piss you off.
No, not 85.
80.
Let's move on to the next question.
I'm feeling, we did like almost a 4-mile walk, so I'm just feeling sassy.
Okay, so the second question is, what helpful skills or tips do you have for coping with being apart from your partner for long periods of time?
Oh, well, you and I are not far away from each other for a long period of time.
I wish we spent more time apart.
Wow.
I'm not the one.
I'm just kidding.
I'm not probably the best person with borderline to ask this question because I don't struggle. I have such social anxiety that I don't struggle with like having a favorite person. I haven't had a favorite person in so long.
Yeah.
Over a decade. Longer. So I really like being alone.
Yeah.
I like spending time with you. I love spending time with you. And I wish that we had more quality time spent together. Mm-hmm. But because of work and life, we don't have that much quality time to spend together. But like, you were just gone for work for 4 nights and I didn't struggle.
Yeah. I was going to say, I don't know that we're maybe the best couple to ask that question because neither of us really struggle being apart. But I think I can say that like in previous relationships, I really, really struggled being apart from my partner. But they didn't have BPD, but I had a really like, oh, here we go with fucking attachment theory. But I was like super, super insecure in my relationships. Even though I thought and felt I was secure in them, I was not. And I was not behaving that way. So I was just like, oh my God, I gotta be texting them all the time. Like, where are they? Oh my. And I don't experience that with you.
Yeah. So I think one of the things is like, if you are a person with borderline and your partner is going to be gone for a certain period of time, develop a cope ahead plan before before that distance occurs. Develop a cope ahead plan for like how often you'll talk, how you will talk, having like a scheduled FaceTime date.
What you'll do if they're not able to talk when you guys had originally like scheduled, because like at the end of the day, like I'll speak for me, if I'm at work and Sarah is in distress, I'm immediately maxed out at work. And sometimes I can leave work and go home, but the majority of the time I cannot. And then all I can think about at work is, what is it going to be like when I get home? Is she going to be okay? Are we okay? Like, so I think like the person who's leaving should have a cope ahead plan of like what,
or how you cope with being like
gone. If you can't come home, like, like that's a real fear. Like when I go, when I go to Eastern Washington for work, I do worry, like, what if something happens? Like, am I going to be able to go home? Like, what if I can't come home? So, I think that that's an important thing, like for the person who's gone, and also like you each need to have your own, like, okay, these are the instances where I'm gonna come home. These are the instances where I'm not gonna come home, and like, what can we do together and separately together to minimize any potential, fiasco or catastrophe or whatever.
Yeah, cope ahead for sure.
Mhm.
I think like if you can try to, like, if you're the person with borderline and your partner is leaving or you have to leave, if you can try to sort of change the way you think about it from like they're going to be gone to, oh my God, I'm so excited to have that time alone. Because I know as a person with borderline, there are times where I'm like, get the fuck away from me because everything that you're doing is so annoying to me. I could just lose my shit at any moment. And that's true for anybody. Like
Yeah.
you don't have to have borderline to be like, you have been on my heels for the last 2 hours like a puppy, and I just need you to get the fuck away from me.
Mhm.
So like trying to do that reframing of
Mhm.
like, I'm really excited to actually like be on my own.
Uh-huh.
I get to choose, not that I don't always get to choose, but like I get to choose what TV I'm watching tonight because I don't have to like, try to find a common television program to like enjoy together, or
Mhm.
like I get to get whatever takeout I want, or like, I get to have that one friend come over and just like talk smack all night, or
Mhm.
like whatever, but make it yours. Like
Yeah.
make it your time. It's about you. Nobody is interrupting it, because I promise there will be moments where you will be dysregulated by your partner and you will wish that you could have some of that time back.
Mm-hmm. I'm glad you said that, because that's where I was going to go with that. Like, embrace the time alone. Like, oh my God, like, I try to think of things like that I wouldn't maybe normally do. Like, if Sarah's home, now granted, like, Sarah's not gone very often, but if she is,
Yeah, I don't know where the fuck I'm going.
the grocery store or whatever,
Yeah.
like, luckily for me, the grocery store is like an hour out and an hour back. So that's 2 hours, right? Like, I'm like, ooh, like, I'm going to, do whatever. You can like think of things like that, like, oh, like stuff you don't do when your partner's around. Like, I don't
Yeah.
know, maybe you don't, maybe like you love to eat fucking a PB&J standing up on at the counter naked.
Okay.
I don't know. Well, I don't know. I was trying to think of something weird. Not that that's weird actually, because I would do that. But anyway, not the point. But like things that like you're like you don't inherently do in front of your partner, not because you're embarrassed, but because you just don't do it. And you're like, oh, I can just, if I want to eat a fucking box of crackers in my bed, I can. Don't eat crackers in our bed.
Crackers in bed is the worst idea. Nobody
But
wants
some
crumbs
people,
on their ass when they
right?
get like
But like,
into bed at night out of the shower.
oh God, do you remember when I like laid on that piece of chocolate?
Okay.
Anyway, not the point. The point is if you want to do some weird fucking single people shit that you don't do anymore, I think there's an entire Sex in the City episode about that actually, but just embrace the like being alone.
Yeah.
Like that's important. That like, maybe you're like you love to color and you don't do that with your partner because you guys really like to have active time together. Fucking crush a coloring book. Maybe you're like, oh my God, I love to read, but every time I start to read, my partner wants to turn off the light or something like that. Maybe you crush through a bunch of novels. You know what I mean?
Yeah, just reframing that time away from being devastating to being like, personal joy, whatever,
Liberating.
yeah, however you would define the opposite of miserable, but like just telling yourself like, this is going to be great and I will enjoy the time that I do connect with them by FaceTime or, sending a postcard or whatever.
Yeah.
But otherwise I'm going to just like enjoy the fuck out of this time with myself.
Okay, so I got very dysregulated during recording of question 3 and decided we're not going to record the third question, even though there's like many more questions after that. So this episode is ending here. There's going to be a part 2. I think that's for the best rather than force myself to record when I'm not feeling like very good. It actually was a great moment though, because I ran out of my Lamictal. And so last night I didn't take my Lamictal. And so it's actually been helpful for me to realize like, oh, okay, so not having my Lamictal, even though I've got my Vraylar and my lithium and all my other meds, really does make a difference in my emotion regulation. Because what dysregulated me was Talon like clearing his throat. It irritates the fuck out of me. And I just was like, I can't do this. I hate this. Why do you keep doing that? Why are you making this difficult for me? Just such a borderline moment, you guys. So pausing here, there's going to be a part 2 to the couples questions because they're really fun. All right. Thanks for listening.
Hi, listeners. Thank you for tuning in to the Bold, Beautiful Borderline podcast. I hope you enjoyed the episode today. If you liked what you heard, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and leave a review on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your content. That is super helpful for me. It helps us find additional folks who want to listen to the show, want to feel seen, family members who want to learn, and partners who want to understand. If you want to follow along to more than just the podcast, find us on Instagram at Bold Beautiful Borderline, find me at Borderline from Hell, or head over to boldbeautifulborderline.com where there's information, resources, a place to leave a voicemail to be heard on the podcast, which I love, and just general content. All of that information can be found in the show notes. And if you want to get exclusive content, which is bonus episodes, journal prompts, worksheets, all sorts of extra stuff, sometimes videos of me with my hair very crazy with kind of impulsive borderline rants, head over to Patreon and consider becoming a member. That is super helpful with creating content that allows me to destigmatize BPD and all of the other wild mental health struggles that we discuss on the podcast. A huge thanks to everyone who joins on the podcast to share their story and just generally helps keep this thing alive. Especially my friend Corey Evans from the Evergreen Band. He produced and created the music that is the intro and outro for this show, as well as the cover art that was created by my husband, Talon Abbott. Their information is found in the show notes. All of the information discussed in the podcast is purely personal experience. This is not medical recommendations. This is not therapy recommendations. There's no producer for this show. It's all me.